Doing great. Does this mic actually work, or is it false?
We're speechless.
Skip, can you just give us your impressions of your room now, and if you can, maybe just kind of comment on each guy that you have right now.
I think it's an interesting room. I mean, I know I evaluated Rachaad coming out, and I really liked him a lot. I think he's a very talented inside runner, guy that has good vision and balance, has ability to create on his own. I think he's really an underrated pass receiver coming out of the backfield. I really like Kayvon coming out. I think he's a natural runner with good balance. He hasn't really been utilized a great deal in the passing game, but I think he's capable of doing that. And I think we're going to give him that opportunity, going forward. And Patrick Lard is a guy that I know came out of the University of California that possessed a lot of different things as far as run skills, balance, pass protection, special teams qualities. I mean, all those guys, I think, fit the room real well, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be a collective group that's going to work hard together and do good things together. Then also with Chase Edmonds, the guy that's played several years in this league that really can be a runner, receiver. And I think the one thing that's going to help all of them is that they all have a little bit different, unique style that's a little bit different than each other.
Rachaad White had an interesting rookie year, ended up being the starter before the year was over. One thing he didn't do was hold on to the football all the time, and you come from Dallas where nobody fumbled, which is remarkable.
We didn't have one.
Not one.
Didn't have
I
one.
know everybody coaches it. What did you do that was able to?
But honestly, it's the first time in 35 years of coaching that ever happened. No, I mean, you emphasize it. You talk about the importance of taking care of the football, not struggling for extra yards at certain times, focusing on taking care of the ball. One extra yard, fighting, trying to extend is not worth it. So go down, get ready for the next play. But, I mean, I think every team, emphasizes it. We have a bunch of drills that we do as a skill group, and you focus on that, you practice it, and you become second nature when you start to fall to the ground. Instead of extending to brace yourself, just fall. Or guy grabs onto the ball, don't try to rip it, just go with him and go down. I mean, unless it's a critical situation where you got to fight to get another yard in a playoff game or try to get into the playoff, it's not worth the risk of losing the football.
Seems like that philosophy marries in really well with Dave Canales, whose mantra is protect the ball.
Protect the ball. Most important thing. We can't score if we don't have it. I always tell them, I said, listen, you get an opportunity to obviously catch it and run with it, but I've always had the philosophy: if you can't hold on to it, you can't play. I'm sorry, because if we can't secure the football, then we have no opportunity to score, because now you're giving the other team, another advantage and another opportunity to go down and score themselves. So taking care of the football is the number one thing that I think we got to do as a position, or really as a team. You don't want to give the other team any more opportunities than they're already going to get.
I don't know if there's room for another running back here, maybe a veteran. You're familiar with one free agent in Zeke Elliott?
I know Zeke pretty good, I think.
Why do you, is there room for him here, and why do you think he's still sort of out there right now? What does he have left?
I think Zeke is still a good quality running back, in my opinion. The funny thing is, I'll tell you a quick story, because I know this was always presented and people talked about it all the time. They go, well, he's not as productive as he was. He's not the same guy that he was. I go, but most older backs aren't. I go, the thing you fail to write is he's not playing 90% in the game anymore. He's playing 50, because Tony Pollard is playing 50% of the snaps. So your numbers are going to naturally go down. I go, but he still scored 12 touchdowns. He still caught the ball well. He still had numerous 3rd and 1s and short yard and goal line plays where he helped us win games. He's still a physical load. I think the thing that I admire him for was accepting that role. It was hard the first couple of weeks to have a guy going from being a feature back, and you tell him, hey, from this time on, you're going to split time with this guy. Everybody's ego gets involved in that situation. But, they naturally fight it for a week or two, and then they realize that at the end of the day, it's probably the best for everybody if we do that. Now, I've been fortunate that most places that I've been, we've always utilized multiple backs. I mean, all the time I've been in Dallas, we always utilized multiple backs. All the time I was in Oakland, we used multiple backs. Now, the only two places I didn't was in Chicago with Matt Forte and Los Angeles with Todd Gurley. But every other place, I mean, I always felt if you had a fresh back in the game, it's going to present a little bit more pressure on the defense. So as many guys as you can utilize, give them roles, have them involved. They happy, they play harder, they push each other. When they get into the game, they want to showcase what they can do, and then the next guy comes in and tries to show them up. So, I mean, it's fun. And I think we have the ability to do that here with the guys that we have. Now, to answer your question, I mean, I think we'd be good in any situation. I'm just not sure exactly how the dynamic of explaining to him that, like I told him, I said, I mean, you're going to play it for $1 million. And I think he was making like 12.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who's going to be the one to tell him that? I think that's part of the reason he's sitting out there. But if you're going to play and you're going to be the second or third guy, that's kind of what the price is. So that's something that, you know, that person has to be able to make a decision on if that's what they want to do.
Were you surprised at all by the decision of Dallas to let go of Zeke? And if you were, why not?
Was I surprised?
Were you surprised?
No. No.
And why?
I mean, knowing that place, I think it was all strictly money. I mean, when Jerry said I really love this guy, I think he truly does. But they tagged Tony. You can't have two guys in the room making $20-something million. So one of them had to go, and it wasn't going to be Tony. So I think the writing was on the wall that he had to go. I mean, the same thing happened when I had Marion Barber. I mean, he was let go too after he had signed a big contract. But it's almost like the running back room is becoming a dying breed, which, in my opinion, if you don't have a running game, you can't win. I mean, you can say what you want to say. You can sling it all you want. But if you don't have anybody to take pressure off the quarterback from time to time and move the clock and rest your defense, you're not going to have success. I think it goes hand in hand. You got to be able to throw it as well as run it. But you got to still try to run it. Sometimes it's not always the amount of yards you get. It's the number of carries that you present to the defense to physically wear them down.
Coach, that was kind of the situation here last year. It resulted in an 8-9 record, you know, so what you're saying is true.
Right.
But, you know, you weren't here last year, but Rachaad and Keyshawn were.
Right.
They were part of the league's worst ranked rushing attack. How much of hunger or excitement for this year to kind of get that bad taste out of their mouth do you sense from those guys?
I mean, I remember the very first day we had, you know, a meeting or anything, they were excited and eager to go. I mean, I think anytime there's a new year or there's somewhat of a slight change in philosophy, I mean, everyone, I think, in young person is excited. I mean, I know they are right now. They seem, you know, very excited about the direction that we're going as far as, you know, the run game and things of that nature. But in anything, I mean, they got to be called. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the total number of runs you guys had last year, but I know we always tried to say we wanted to try to run it 20 to 25 times and focus on that. And, you know, some of those runs are good, some of them aren't. But you got to at least present the defense with at least 20 to 25 touches with somebody carrying the football. Now, that's not always necessarily the running backs. It could be a fly sweep by a receiver or something, but some form of running it to give the defense a little bit different look, you know. And I think at the end of the day, it's a little bit more physical of a game when you run it and gain 2 and you run it and gain 3. Then eventually, second, third, fourth quarter, those 2 and 3 yard runs become 7, 10, 9. I mean, early in the game, it's never going to be easy. It's never going to be clean. So you don't have a lot of, you know, very, very positive runs, in my opinion. You get 2s, you get 3s, but that's good at that time. Defense is fresh. They're going to have, I mean, the quickness and the stoutness to have it. But over time, you know, they slow down, and then that little arm tackle, and they're not getting there, and then you get a little bit bigger play. So I think it's something that, I mean, every team, I think, talks about. But the most important thing is you got to obviously have the ability and the discipline to be able to do it, and stick with it. You may go 7 runs in a row that you may only get 1.5, 2 yards, but that physical 1 and 2.5 yard run is going to pay off in the third and fourth quarter.
Coach, among the undrafted free agents, the Bucs signed Sean Tucker. What do you like about him?
I think both those young guys that we signed, Ronnie Brown and Sean Tucker, are going to be good candidates. I think they both possess natural run skills. I think they have the ability to, obviously create on their own. But, this is a little bit different game than college. Everyone learns that. And you got to obviously, I think the scheme we're going to run is, in my opinion, good for a runner because it's a mid-zone scheme that presents a little bit different stress on the defense. And it forces them to play gaps that they got to be disciplined and sound in. Otherwise, they're going to be creases, and then you have opportunity to, make some big runs. But, they're both functional receivers coming out of the backfield. They can catch. So that's a plus. But, when you watch them run, I think they have some natural run skills to be able to create on their own and make positive yards.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.